first, I want to apologize. I just left for a minute. I am also working with a second company now that, from the time I got here to now, might be closing Microsoft and Stripe.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I was emailing. I was like, hey, don't bother me at a conference today. Hey, no, really, why are you? Oh, essentially was why I was doing that. So, yeah, I'm Ben Bartolone. You can say the last name however you want, spell however you want to. I've heard it all. It's kind of the best thing that way. Humanity in sales. And you've heard the speakers talk about this already. About 2 years ago, we had this, AI is going to replace everything. What can it do? What can't it do? And then we started to realize what it's really good at. And I'm here to, as I wrote down, tell you some things I think you already know. That history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. So that's me. That's my headshot from 2013 when I was acting. I miss having not gray hair sometimes. Great headshot photographer. Yeah, I am a fractional sales manager at a company called Beta Acid, and talking about involving story into these things. Beta Acid is a product design development agency run by a few of my friends in Barcelona. They used to live here. I'm the only person in New York, so I go to events and talk. What the heck is a Beta Acid? A Beta Acid, they used to own a brewery in Seattle. They now own a winery in Barcelona. They left the country in 2018 to go run this winery. My brother owns a brewery in Chicago. An alpha acid and a beta acid are two of the enzymes in actual beer brewing. The alpha acids are the catalyst for making beer taste like beer, essentially. Richness, dark color, it brings that whole amber color usually, depending on the hops. The beta acid comes underneath it, and if you are brewing an IPA, it brings citrus flavor. If you're making a Goza, it brings that fruitiness, that tartness. If you're making a rock beer, it brings smokiness. So beta acid lifts what's already in place. I do tell that story every time I jump on sales calls. Because it's a story. And it's humanity. So the other job, which is the reason I was out there for a second, actually, and I didn't want to bother you all and update this. This was last week. I started fractionally with a group that's partnering event sponsors and event organizers to help each other find each other. I really thought it would be hard to find sponsors. Microsoft is right. So here we are. It's going well, and like the little big dinosaur in Jurassic Park that's about to hatch out of the shell, it's really vulnerable right now, so I'm in that place of let's make sure it grows. So, sales and growth manager, this is what I do. I get little teams off the ground. Like me, I wrote the intro, thank you. I read that intro back to myself, and I was like, am I really sending this? I like to create order out of chaos. And fill the pipeline, step 3, profit. If you ever play Cards Against Humanity, that's a Cards Against Humanity reference. These are things I tell people that they remember. I used to produce Broadway shows. I was a professional sword fighter in the Met Opera for Verdi's Othello, 2012, 2013. There is a great performances I am in the back. 25 seconds. I'm carrying a torch and I pull out a rapier. It's awesome. And 2012, I sang Blown in the Wind with, at the time, and I wrote this before Peter Yarrow passed away, the surviving members of Peter, Paul, and Mary in Peter's apartments on the Upper West Side. I couldn't remember the words to Blown in the Wind. I know the words! But I was singing with Peter Yarrow, who popularized it, let's say. For those that might not know Peter, Paul, and Mary and are above the age of 40, if you've ever heard Puff the Magic Dragon or any folk tale from the 60s and 70s, and if you're of a certain age, anything your parents sang. I brought my parents to this, and my dad lost his mind. It was really nice. So why bother? Let's call it, why bother being human in sales? Why stay human at all? You're all here for the reason of this is an important conversation piece. I know a lot of people have experience with this, and this is newer to some folks as well. We were just talking about this. This is my take. It's cool watching two people play chess. I find that interesting. It's also interesting to watch a person play against a machine. In the 90s, Deep Blue was this computer that IBM was developing, and Gary Kasparov was playing him, and it was all the newspapers. That was really interesting because it's pitting us against something else.
Us against us, interesting. Us against something else, interesting. I don't want to watch two computers play chess. That is a weird AI rendering of this, and I'm honestly most interested in what the heck those arms are. But I don't want to watch this. And maybe someone might for the novelty of it, but after one time, there's nothing human here. And as much as we talk about using AI in sales in really smart ways, there's also the, do I want to interact with AI? And sometimes yes. But in terms of customer interaction, I really don't. Another point, Broadway background. I promised action movies. Thank you for the other action movies. This is interesting. This is a person interacting with AI in a movie. Tony Stark, Jarvis. That is interesting because the AI is giving information to the person to then use. Tell me if this sounds familiar to sales. This is not exciting by itself. This is just computer program. I have nothing to identify with here other than the observation of something giving me information. I'm not pulled by it. Until Jarvis becomes Vision, and Vision looks like a person. Now, the character of Vision, for those that aren't super nerds like me, I was more of a comic fan. I kind of lost the MCU after a while. Honestly, after WandaVision, I took a break, and I'm spoiling the next slide here. Vision is learning to be human-like in a lot of the story. A lot of this story is about the fact that this intel and information was transferred into this frame, and this became a character. This is a character in the comics. This is one of the superheroes. We care because I think Vision is human-like and trying to become so much. They made an entire mini-series about Vision being a guy, or facsimile of a guy, or something. That is literally the way we got excited about a robot, is being more human. And again, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I just want to phrase it in a way that history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. So far, this is going to change tomorrow in the best way, but our best use case for AI. To take it back a minute, I referenced this earlier. Calculators. 1975, historical analysis. I'm not going to read this whole thing. We don't know what it's going to do to people. What will calculators do to the education and effects on the students? It's unknown. Future research, depending on how children were affected, necessary changes. Again, they didn't know if calculators were going to mess us up. I know. It's funny because we're on this side of things. And, you know, we all have those friends. I have a lot of theater that are like, AI, screw that. That's going to mess us up. I think a lot of it's because Hollywood is trying to use it in certain ways, but it's computer programming. There's so many ways to use it, and we go to market understanding these things. So they were worried that if we had calculators, we couldn't do basic addition, basic subtraction. What I've found in my life is I no longer have to take this out to do 45 divided by 6 or something like that. I have a phone. The phone has a calculator, and I am more free to do the human things I want to do. So that comparison from the past to me, it makes me laugh, honestly. And it makes me think, well, how far are we going to go, and what are my niece and nephew going to think about AI tools in this respect? So, replacing humans with robots. There is a part of this that talks about imperfections or make us human. There's a great example right there. I made this. I'm not a designer, by the way, and I didn't bother with nice designs. I just wanted to get the point across.
Nice robot.
Appreciate it.
I didn't think that. I thought you were doing it on purpose.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. No, it's entirely on me. To be perfectly honest with you, let's say yes. This is a T-Mobile commercial. I'm not sure if this is it able to? Oh, thank you. This is Wayne Wilson, 2018, a commercial you might have seen pre-pandemic. So before you okay, robot.
Press 1. I'm sorry, 0 is not an option.
Representative?
Please say the name of your second pet.
Nar.
Incorrect. Your call is important. will be with you shortly.
Okay, good. Yes. Hello, Daniel. No, please.
Calling customer service is the worst. So T-Mobile, Chip.
You get it. I'm not advertising T-Mobile on purpose here, but that's the idea. Thank you. Thank you. So the point being, that sucks. And again, I'm telling you things you already know. It's a 4-second clip. Yeah, let's do it. Thank you. This is from the movie The Fifth Element from 2001.
You want some more?
The joke there is that the robot bartender can only serve drinks and doesn't listen, and Evil's character is trying to ask for a therapist, and he's just saying, "Do you want some more?" over and over. It's not focused on in the movie, anything like that. Fun fact, though, to add story back in here, the guy that wrote this movie wrote The Karate Kid. He wrote the Taken movies, the last show I was working on before I pitched producing full time. Was a Karate Kid musical with Robert Kamen, so he told me all about the Fifth Element. So if there are any fans here, I can tell you everything I heard, because I am such a fan of that movie. So, let's replace robots with humans using robots. Let's replace calculators with people using calculators. Let's replace the printing press, anything like that. It all makes sense. Here's another movie from like 8 years ago or so, maybe it was 10, I don't remember what year it is anymore. Hidden Figures, who saw Hidden Figures, by the way? It was a great movie. It was a little like Hollywood cheesy, but it was awesome. It got the point across that these wonderful people were potentially being replaced by society at large, but also the threat that a computer was going to take their jobs. Sound familiar? This is the actual person it was based on. She's amazing, speaking of astrophysics and all those wonderful pieces of life that I am such a fan of because I don't understand as much as others do. What happened in the end here, at least in certain cases, was everyone thought that it was a job to be a computer, for those that might not be as familiar with this. That was like, what do you do for a living? I'm a computer for NASA. These machines were brought in. They thought they were going to replace people, but they were hard to use well. And what ended up happening was the people used the machines to make their jobs better. Again, this is all very dumb stuff I'm sharing. It's kind of hitting the nail on the head pretty hard, but this has happened before. And the reason I think, and this is why we're here, things like this could work really well is it's freeing us up to do more of what we already do best, which is interact with each other. Sell to each other, help each other, market to each other, whatever that might be. It's not going to replace us directly. It might replace us if we don't use it well. Well, maybe not that, but other people who are using it. I think of this like any tool. I got a sharper stick. The guy who has a sharper stick next to me, someone who has the sharpest stick might be a better hunter. This is a tool. And the reason I love all of this work is because it's focusing on us and in making us better at what we already are. Which again, you know this, it's beautiful. So, in conclusion, if I wasn't up here, I think these are really funny. I looked up robot teaching or robot presenting something. I'm a little scared of like, is this thing learning about art itself? Is it telling us about art itself? But if I wasn't up here and you were just listening to a robotic presentation, I don't think it would be interesting. I don't think you might be able to identify as much as people presenting. I straight up found this guy and I was like, what is this? I realized it's supposed to be like a middle class fancy joke of like ending the presentation with the guy on the end of the slide. But to drive the point home, I don't think you will find this as interesting as when people are presenting. And that's really all I have to say. So, thank you so much. Thank you for being here.